Okay, YouTubers, I am kind of concerned about this. John Moore Show, channel Today Prepare, has repeatedly been talking about Spetsnaz, that's Russian Special Forces, trained to speak English with a Nebraska neutral accent and wearing American uniforms, infiltrating, and going to be helping with disarming Americans, perhaps, and there's all kinds of information about them supposedly gleaned from conversations by an information source he has, who supposedly had dealings with them in Bosnia. Now, according to Wikipedia, Russia had no military presence in Bosnia during that war, except perhaps a few advisors or observers, okay? And it's possible that one or two Spetsnaz were among them. And granted, he more commented that you might want to take the information with a grain of salt about them, their plans, their goals, so what their training was focused on, because you have a couple of people rambling over vodka. But the way the story keeps expanding, that caveat's left out usually. Now, Alex Jones says that the Department of Homeland Security has listed among potential terrorists, native terrorists, returning veterans because they have stresses, skill sets, and maybe a sense of being cheated or something. And Moore is on a couple occasions expressed approval of the idea that veterans might be a force against such a takeover attempt. Now, supposedly, we're getting these Russian forces beginning to infiltrate. And maybe 100 or 300,000. That would wipe out the total number of Spetsnaz available in Russia for Russian purposes. I doubt they'd sink them all over here. Even 30,000 would be an unlikely figure, but even if that's the case, the fact is that the picture that is being presented, particularly with the latest thing, whoever is the enemy is whoever is doing something unconstitutional. Okay, this means that you're going to have and advice given that if you're going to shoot someone like this, or shoot for an officer or somebody else, you do one-shot sniping and run, because it's hard to tell where a shot comes from if it's just one shot. Now, all this means is that sooner or later, someone is going to fire on an American soldier who is blonde or brown-haired and speaks Nebraska neutral American English, and who is engaged in something that the shooter considers to be unconstitutional, regardless of whether the Constitution read in detail, which many of these self-appointed experts do not do, and regardless of what the Supreme Court may have decided regarding what the Constitution means, which means that that decision is what's going to be enforceable if you end up in court. Now, this in turn will be the excuse for a martial law crackdown, because supposed uprising of some, nativist, veteran, terrorist, whatever. And I'll just take a few instances sort. And then you have the martial law crackdown. Then it's blown up by the Patriot militia crowd over the internet. You get the secessionist uprisings going, which would probably fail in the long run, like the last one did, but not before there was a lot of bloodshed and so forth. Which, in the meantime, would feed all kinds of evil spirits, I might add, who like this sort of stuff and feed on blood and so on, and misery, and also create a lot of disruption and more hatred and so forth. I'm not saying that Moore is himself a psyop or a disinformation agent, but his background puts him in bed with such. And the sources he would trust for information, even if it was multiple sources, could all of themselves be part of the planning that Alex Jones has been concerned about. Now, I don't think we need to have the civil war erupt that apparently Department of Homeland Security and a large number of other agencies who've requested hollow point ammunition, Social Security, NOAA, TSA, and some other people, the arming of which makes no sense. I don't think we need to have the civil war break loose that they expect. Now, as far as them setting up perimeter guard potential situations to protect rich neighborhoods against looters, there's nothing particularly weird about that. But if there is a plan to overthrow the country with a coup putting the Ollie North continuity of government type in charge, this is exactly the sort of behavior being encouraged by more sources that would give them the excuse.